And before I sentence you, I'd like to say a few words about your arrest record. What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Man, you want some too? You better wrap it up.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and recently Gleb Melnikov, up-and-coming artist in the industry, called out the comic books and said, listen, I'm tired of static head images in comic books. They're boring. This is an action medium. And he took the industry to task. Of course, he got a lot of blowback, and he had to apologize. But he has inspired me. Gleb Melnikov has inspired Wes from Thinking Critical to talk about the 5 things comics need to stop in 2021, according to me. Now, obviously, there's a lot of big things, that probably need to cut back on the events a little bit. A lot of stuff we talk about on the channel. These are going to be kind of smaller scale things, although one of them's a pretty big issue, if you ask me. But I'm going to guarantee you this: there are no takebacks here on Thinking Critical YouTube. I do not apologize. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. These are my opinions. I ain't taking it back. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you agree with me, you agree with me. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. We are adults here, Doc. I don't need anyone's permission, and I certainly don't need anyone else's validations for my opinions. But I do appreciate you coming on here. We'll see what your thoughts are on the 5 things comics need to stop in 2021. How you doing, Doc?
I am spectacular. Yes. Happy New Year's, sir. Congratulations on 10,000 subs. And let's take the industry to task a little bit here with some of their nonsense.
Yes, it's time for a Gleb Melnikov special right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. That's what we're delivering today. Now, before we get into the details of these 5 things that it just irked me, I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Give me a thumbs down if you don't. Either way, we want to hear your thoughts. What are the things that you think the comic industry needs to stop in 2021? What is it that gets under your crawl that really just annoys the shit out of you that you really think they need to cut out in 2021? I want to know what you think. Now, Doc, we're going to get into the first one, and I'm going to be honest. You inspired me a little bit for this one as well. It is Substandard Production. You showed up. You tweeted out an image of your copy of Wolverine 350. You turned the page and it blew out a staple.
Yep. Yep. Staple ripped right through the paper, just turning the damn page. I looked at it like, did this really happen? I made sure that, okay, maybe it just didn't staple through and like it missed that page. Nope. I didn't do anything interesting with it. I just flip the page.
Can you imagine a comic book company that doesn't know how to produce comics with good paper?
It would seem like
job number 1.
Yeah, it would seem like figuring out how to put images on paper and then keep that paper together would probably be one of their biggest jobs. But apparently not. Apparently it is just get it there, and if it falls apart, oh well.
That was on you, the customer. You should have known better, Doc.
Yes, I should have known better than to pay $5 for an oversized issue or maybe $6. I don't remember what it cost. Just so that I can make sure that, God damn me for trying to actually read it.
Hey, and it's not just Marvel and their crappy paper. They're basically printing on toilet paper these days. DC's had a whole wide range of issues of late. Now that they kind of cut back on their editorial staff, they just kept leaving in the margin lines on multiple books. I think it was 4 that I know of. It might have been actually 5. They printed a reprint of a trade. They left an entire color out of it.
Oh, God.
Can we do the basics, fellas? Can we put pictures on paper, deliver them to customers, and have them look right?
Yes, this should not be a difficult prospect. I mean, that is literally job number 1.
Standard.
Yes. I mean, make your shit not fall apart and actually be done correctly. Whether the story sucks, whether the art's bad, look, we can debate that, and some of that is up for debate. There's always quality, at least in that regard, on the artistic side, is a little bit subjective. This is not. You're printing on paper that I can basically see my hand through, even with color on both sides of the paper. And then when you turn the page, it rips through the staple. Next thing you know, they're going to be actually printing on single ply tissue paper.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, do not let a bead of sweat drop off of your head and hit that comic book paper.
Oh, no.
Because it will disintegrate like your blood is like alien or something.
Yes. If you think the comics are bad, don't even think about touching the front or back cover with your bare hands.
That's more of a Marvel thing.
Yeah, but
they use interior paper for the cover.
Yeah, they do. And as the interior paper gets cheaper too, they're even using the cheaper interior paper for the covers. Don't touch the covers. You know what? Don't read them. Put them in a bag, and then you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to continue that sentence.
All right, let's move on to something else that irks me about comic books that I hope they fix in 2021. The nag. Oh. Now, everybody is really loving character deconstruction these days. And, like in this issue of Iron Man #2, we see Tony kind of fail, and people are not responding to him well. They don't really see him as a hero. But that is not enough, Doc. You need another point of view character, essentially to inform the reader, the audience, of what a piece of crap the hero is. And it's not just Marvel. This happens over on Superman. You can get that from Lois Lane. Sometimes you can even get it from Jimmy Olsen. This doesn't have to be a female nagging or pointing out all the deficiencies of the male hero. It can go either way. But I am so tired of this point of view character that they keep inserting to just tell me what an enormous piece of crap and what a waste of money I've just invested in this hero, because he's an utter failure and he always will be.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like Hellcat, at least in the Iron Man book, is there just to beat you over the head with the stuff that you should be able to read in like the
you might have missed it.
Yeah, you might have missed the actual subtext or the narration. Just in case you didn't. Hey, and by the way, this guy sucks. Yeah, we get it. Okay. Sorry, Chris Cantwell. You're not that good of a writer. Maybe this is the reason why your AMC show got terrible after the second season. Whatever the hell. What was the name of his show?
Something Catch Fire.
The one about computers. Yeah, Halt and Catch Fire. This is the reason why Halt and Catch Fire fucking sucked after season 2. Because you had to beat the viewer over the head. So look, but you know what? This is a problem in all of comics. It's like I feel like they just have no confidence that any sort of subtext implication, like that readers just can't put 2 and 2 together.
Or if you allow them to put 2 and 2 together, they might not come to the exact conclusion that the writer wants to.
Yes.
You can't give them credit for having their own mind and be able to look at the information and come to their own conclusion about what's going on.
Yeah, because you know what? If you're reading some of these books and the hero's failing or the population is kind of turning on them, it can't be that they're just doing something a little wrong. No, they have to be absolute failures, and then you need to be told how terrible they are, because you might come to the conclusion, well, if you do this just a little bit different, everything will turn out different.
Yeah, you might read this issue of Iron Man and come away with the thought of like, he's really trying, and it feels like people are just being a-holes to him. But she lets you know they are not being a-holes. Tony Stark is a douchebag.
Yeah.
A rich white douchebag.
Yeah. And it's, God forbid there be any fucking nuance in comics these days. Nope. You need a nag there to beat you over the head with it.
Yes. There's no room for gray areas. Everything needs to be black and white nowadays, Doc.
Knock it off, comic industry. Let readers come to some conclusions on their own.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about another thing that chaps my ass. Typecasting writers. You'll see this entire line of female Asian superheroes that was released by Marvel Comics not too long ago. The writer on every single one of them is Alyssa Wong, because I guess she's female and Asian. If Greg Pak is writing a comic book at Marvel Comics, it's going to be an Asian superhero. I am so tired of the typecasting based on race, sexuality for the characters. At this point, it's used so often that my only conclusion is that the only reason that this writer was chosen for this character was for some surface traits or some type of lifestyle that aligns with the character. And I just assume that they can't write.
Yes, you're correct, because all they do, look, any writer, most of the writers that are in comics at this point, my dog could write a better story, because as writers, they are terrible. All they know how to write is, they don't know how to just write what they know. They have to be able to write themselves. And that's all they do. They just write themselves. Every single thing is a writer insert. Every single one of these writers, because none of them as for actual writing ability would even get into a room 25 years ago, just because they can't write.
Well, I'm going to take a different angle at this. Alyssa Wong might be a fine writer. And Marvel are doing her a disservice by typecasting her with these characters and then leaving the readers to assume that the only reason that she's writing it is because of surface traits or maybe her common sexuality, something like that. And they are setting these creators up for failure. If she's a good writer and she gives a good pitch, just put her on whatever character best suits the writer. But this weird typecasting, I'm cynical to the core, Doc. And when I see it over and over and over, and it's not just Marvel, it's DC, it's all the publishers. They just do this over and over. And my initial reaction nowadays is, look at the character, too much alike, I ain't reading it.
Oh yeah. It's like,
it's a disservice to the writer and the character.
I feel like this is the exact same thing as Warren Ellis in the 90s, where every single book he was in, it was always some surly British guy. That was the character that he wrote. He wrote just surly British guy. Except for, and every book that he got put on, he stuffed a surly British guy into it. And they're doing the exact same thing here. We've come so far into wokeness with trying to open up creative opportunities to people that have historically not been terribly involved in the superhero industry, that we've essentially become, the industry has become super segregated and racist as a result. Because it's both an insult to, people like Alyssa Wong, that the only thing they get put on is female Asians, but it's also, so they don't get to write Peter Parker, they don't get to write, Thor, they don't get to write Black Panther, but it's also protecting them like they're children that are incompetent of being able to prove their ability to stay on a book by protecting them from, somebody like, I don't know, C.B. Cebulski being on an Asian female character.
Yeah, and this is a long-standing issue. We know Christopher Priest stopped kind of writing for Marvel for quite a while because they would only let him write black superheroes.
Yeah, and
I don't like being pigeonholed.
Yes, so it's both racist and kind of like this weird kind of soft bigotry of low expectations at the same time. It's just ridiculous, and they really need to stop it. Just let people write whatever the hell they want to write.
Have a pitch, have a meeting for pitches. Whoever gives you the best pitch is the one that's made for the character.
Yeah, blind
Who gives a shit what race they are? Who cares what what gender they are? Who cares what sexuality they are? Are they the best fit for the character? Enough said.
Yeah, well, this feels like we're getting into the point where we're going to say, "Hey, let's just do blind pitches." Except for there was I know, but the problem is when the outcome is something other than what they want it to be, they'll throw out doing blind pitches the same way they did with the symphony that only did blind auditions, and then too many men ended up in the symphony and not enough women.
Okay, well, that's a symphony problem, but this is lame. It needs to stop. It is a problem with the industry. And I guarantee you, I'm not the only person that have been preconditioned nowadays to look at a cover and be like, nope, that writer wasn't picked out because he or she could actually write.
No, yeah, it's stunt casting.
Absolutely. All right, here's another one. In the damn story already, Doc. This is a prevalent issue almost with every single writer in comics. They cannot finish a damn story. Your story should be a crescendo. It should finish on the highest of high notes. But everybody, I guess it's because of it's not just because of this, but you watch the MCU, you get to the after trailer, the after credit scene where they hint at what's going to be coming within the MCU moving forward.
Yes.
Well, that's after the story is finished. Once you get the little music hit and you get the end credits, that story is finished. And this is just bonus extra stuff.
Yeah,
you don't even have to pay for it. Yeah. But you can't really do that in comics because there's no full credit page, and I guess you could, but they call it an epilogue, and you think it's just the same story keeping going on. Just finish the story. I don't need to see what you're teasing out for 6 months from now.
Yeah,
just finish the story. Finish on the high note.
I agree completely.
So annoying. This would be 10 pages on extra crap.
You're correct. You put in 1 page, you put in a half a page, you put in a little cameo.
Brian Michael Bendis special where he brought that in the industry and just ruined everything.
Yeah,
every event was a prequel to another event.
Yes, and every issue and every story arc was just a prequel to the next story arc. And I can understand that to some degree, but at some point you need those breathers, those little one-off stories that have no connection, where you might do 6 issues, 4 issues, 12 issues. When
the X-Men are in Asia, they're like, you know what? We're going on vacation and we're heading back to Massachusetts.
Yes.
The next story, they're on a boat. The next story, they're in Massachusetts and they start their world travels again.
Yes.
Clean break.
Yeah, and especially with the way that they quote unquote end storylines, but they're not actually ending. We had it with Last Remains, where Last Remains is going right into Last Remains post-mortem, but they're basically the same story. It'd be like renaming the fucking Dark Phoenix saga halfway through.
Yeah.
No, stop. No,
you're wasting pages and oftentimes they will rush the climax of the story.
Yeah. Instead of just letting it go into
5 pages of nothing at the end.
Uh-huh. Or the climax of the story is just a total letdown because they need to stick in the 5 pages after that aren't actually really leading to anything, might not lead to anything. We used to do this by just adding 1 page or a couple of a half a page, where it would be something going on that was the B plot or C plot that might not show up and not become the A plot for a year or 2 years or 6 months or whatever it is. And they need to get back to that instead of wasting the pages afterwards.
Yeah. It's annoying. If you read Batman 3 Jokers, at the end of the story, there's 10 pages of epilogue.
Uh-huh. And it's a waste of time.
You've ended the story on a high note, and now you're bringing me down. So
yeah,
it's not worth it.
No, it's really not. It's one of the reasons why I thought 3 Jokers was kind of a letdown. It's the reason why I'm not a fan. As much as I liked Last Remains to this point, I don't care that they said it's over. It's not over because it's continuing into the next issue.
And it actually doesn't even stop the story.
No, it's literally just a cliff. It's a second act.
To anything.
Yes, it's just the second act. It's the end of the second act.
Yeah, that was annoying. So that's my thoughts in the goddamn story already.
It really needs to happen. They're not good at it, but they also need to give you a reason to stick around, and that's what the one-page cameo is. So that it just teases. You don't have to do setup. You do the setup in the next issue. You tease at the end of this issue. You set up at the beginning of the next issue for the arc that you're building, and also to get people to come back. You don't want it to feel like, oh, well, I finished this story arc. I can leave the book now.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to my last one. This one might make people mad, but the generic sexuality reveal. This seems to be this is in every single indie comic book that I'm reading nowadays. Now, a couple of years ago, every supporting character in comics was gay.
Yes.
Every single one of them. But now, every main character in comics is gay. Whatever. I don't really care. You can write all of your original characters gay if you want to. No big deal. But in order for you to know that they're gay, they have to wake up, kiss some random person that you'll never see in the comic book again, and then go back onto the story, and it has no place in the actual story, or it's something weird like this panel here where he's like, I have a husband. It makes no sense within the context of what they're talking about. It's completely out of left field. It is not germane or organic to the story being told, but they've got to get this weird sexuality reveal in there that does not feel it's like, I know the character's gay, okay? You don't have to do something more interesting with it. Like, this is so generic and unimaginative.
It is. But here's the thing. A lot of these writers these days are significantly lacking in talent. And when the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Well, think about something that you enjoy. Is it Apollo and Midnighter, right?
Oh, yeah. That was handled spectacularly.
It was never confirmed that they were gay for years, but everybody knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of the way it was written.
Yeah, from the first time they showed up, waking up, not necessarily like they weren't spooning, but waking up naked in a like abandoned building and putting on their costumes. You had a pretty good idea. Hey, maybe these two guys are gay. And then that they were basically inseparable, but they did, and they showed affection without being over the top affection. It would be like somebody
felt like real people.
Yes, they felt like real people. They felt like an actual a couple that like didn't need to browbeat you over the head. Hey, by the way, this is my girlfriend. This is my boyfriend. This is my boyfriend. This is my boyfriend. This is my boyfriend. All the time. You didn't need that because people figure out you're together when you just spend a lot of time together and you show small amounts of concern and affection for them a little bit more than your other friends.
I can talk about a good reveal that was recent, and we spoke about it last week. We were talking about the best comic issue, the best X-Men comics of the year, and it was X-Men 6. When Mystique yells, "Give me back my wife," that is completely relevant to the story, and it's really important to what Charles Xavier is doing. So that's organic. That's germane to the story. That is a killer reveal. And you already kind of knew it beforehand. You just didn't know they were married.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, literally everyone has known for 30 years that Mystique and Destiny were, a couple. They just didn't know that they were married, and that's not even really that relevant. It's not even a huge revelation. It's just
it was relevant to that story because it was showing what a heinous person Charles Xavier was. Yeah, so that's how you do a reveal. That's if you need to include it, it needs to be something like this. But this weird, it's always out of left field. It's always so generic. It's always exceptionally boring. Yes, we know if it's an indie comic and it's a new hero, they're likely gay. Okay, whatever.
I mean,
do something more interesting. If you need to tell the readers, make sure it's a key part of the story.
Look, I mean, we can take this back to this is a thing that's been going on for a while now. I think this ability, just all the subtlety of a sledgehammer approach, is kind of going back to the most heinous one that I recall was the Iceman by Bendis, where he just sledgehammers it in out of left field for no apparent reason.
Yeah. So Bendis, of course, has to lead. So keep ruining comics long after he wrote them.
I know. But yeah, no, this, and the fact is, most people don't give a shit, especially if does their sexuality have anything to do with the story? Oh no, then who cares?
Yeah. So that's my opinion. Those are the 5 things I think comics need to stop doing in 2021. Doc, thank you so much for joining me. Is there one that's really just you wish I would have said that's really just bugs the crap out of you?
Reboots. The next #1 issue that I see better be a book that either never existed before or hasn't existed for 5 years.
I hate to disappoint you. I do have a Marvel Comics solicitation video that came out yesterday, and there's plenty of #1s.
I know. And you can go and look at some of Perch's videos on this, but the law of diminishing returns kicked in 4 years ago, and now they're just riding this shit straight to the bottom. At this point, they're aiming for actual 0, not effective 0.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to say thank you so much for joining me today, Doc. Had a fun time talking about this. I don't imagine they're going to stop doing any of this in 2021, but I certainly hope they do.
Nope. They will probably actually make the paper cheaper. They'll tell you everyone's sexuality, and they'll reboot everything, every issue. So every issue is #1.